Okay, this movie is an old-fashioned ghost story. There's no scene violence, there's no monster, nothing. All of the fear is extremely atmospheric. Everything that is scary is built solely on the pacing and the editing and the story's progression and the camera angles and how Spielberg reveals stuff. Nothing that is scary about it is used at all anymore. This makes me want Spielberg to maybe make a horror movie nowadays because it seems like he actually understood how to make things scary, which is different from a lot of people now. Now it's gory, which is it's gross, it's a little unsettling, but it's very different from the way that they used to make horror movies like The Haunting, or which I haven't seen, or Rosemary's Baby. That movie made a conversation terrifying. It was horribly impressive. As far as the pacing goes, it's kind of reminiscent of Jaws in that it makes you scared of a noise. Even though what it's leading to is a glowing jar, it's still scary. Every time you hear that baby crying, you think, oh my gosh, something bad is about to happen. And Spielberg does a very good job of pacing it out. When she first hears it, the crying sounds unnatural. It doesn't sound normal. And so she's going to her kids, and first you think, oh, something's wrong with the kids. And then you have the same realization that she does when it starts again while she's with them. When she's going to the barn, it's very dark and it's very slow in how she's moving. And it's one of those situations where, you're yelling at the TV, don't go in the basement! She goes to the source of the crying and nothing happens. And then she's kind of home free, and then she hears her son crying, and nothing really happens. He's just crying, and she goes and comforts him. But then it cuts to this really creepy shot that shows you something wicked this way comes. Because I read a synopsis on Wikipedia, I knew going into this that the son was the one that was actually possessed, and so I was actually a little confused when the whole story was about her being possessed. But then you had the plot twist of the guy telling her it's not her. Satan is after your son, and he's carrying out his will with him. Then you start going back over the events. After he went into the barn, everything that happened could definitely be attributed to him. He talks about how he found some really cool stuff inside the barn, which is where she found the jar. There's the incident where he's throwing the ball up against the wall, and the way that Spielberg edits that, you kind of throw it away because it's happening very quickly, but looking back on it, you can see he's intentionally bothering his mother. He's the one that goes into the trellis and lures her in there and makes her think that she's kind of losing it. And he could easily be the person that puts the jar inside of the kitchen. And when you look back on it, you realize, oh, all of the stuff that has been pushing her towards her crazy can be attributed to her son doing it. That was a very well done reveal. That more goes to the writer than it does Spielberg, but the method of foreshadowing was very much Spielberg, more so than the scriptwriter. The scriptwriter can put stuff in it, but the way that it's hidden or not hidden is always the director's decision. I think this movie did mark one growth moment in Spielberg's career, and that this is the first one that I've seen that the music played a really big part in it. It really helped to ratchet up the tension and just make you feel on edge, and your spine kind of like curls in ways that it shouldn't. And that's something that Spielberg has done with his entire career. I mean, granted, he's worked with the genius that is John Williams for decades and decades and decades. But he understands the important part that music plays inside of a movie, where it can give you any kind of feeling you want. Sometimes it borders on manipulative, but it can very much help create the atmosphere that's needed for a movie. And otherwise, a lot of times it would just kind of feel a little awkward sitting there in silence. This is a movie where he definitely used music to its full effective potential. I don't know if maybe the composer that he worked with here was very instrumental in showing him exactly what could be done with music, and he just carried that knowledge and that attitude with him into all of his movies, or what, that this is the first time that you see him using music the best way possible. This is one that's been kind of hard to talk about because I don't have a decent enough understanding on angle choices. just because I'm not used to thinking about those. And I didn't really take any notes. I need to start doing that. But this one is very well handled. I'm not sure where you can get it. I'll admit it, I downloaded this one off the internet, and the guy that I downloaded it from apparently recorded it one time when it came on Stars. And it says on the wiki article that this has never been released on DVD, and it's actually the only Spielberg movie that has not been released on a home video format. So I don't know where or how you can watch it without using the method that I did. I would like to hear him talk about this one, because I'm curious why he has not made a horror movie since this one, because he does a good job. It's not bad. I'm not the best judge because I don't watch them, but it seems to me to be a very solid movie. There's really nothing that you can make fun of about it that isn't the story. All of the direction and everything is very, very well handled. And that's really all I've got to say about this movie. I'm sorry this one's been kind of brief, but that way it didn't take out too much of your time. Next we're going to be watching, as I said, his first theatrical release, which is Sugarland Express, which contains several big moments in his career beyond just the first theatrical release that we will talk about. So until next time, YouTube, subscribe to the channel, follow James and Ben on Twitter, etc., 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 and I will see you next week.
So I'm taking these drugs, right? And I'm only supposed to take 2 of these twice a day and 1 of these once a day. And I don't remember which one is which.
It's written on the bottle.
No, this is homemade. This. I think it's the green one. Let's go with the green one.
This sounds safe.